All right, thank you to all of you who are here at the Temecula City Council meeting on January 24th at 3:03. I'm going to call to order, and we're going to start with our invocation with Bishop Terrence Hudley from the Place City of Miracles, followed by the flag salute by Miss Abby Trask. Good to see you, sir.
Thank you, and congratulations, Madam Mayor. Shall we pray? Eternal God, we thank you for the gift of this day and for a privilege of gathering once again in service to this community. We lift you before the city of Temecula, asking your blessings upon this city council, its leaders, and all who labor for the welfare of this city. Grant these public servants wisdom beyond their understanding and clarity in deliberation and integrity in every decision made this evening. May your favor rest upon this assembly. Let your light guide their discussions, and may your grace civically shape every exchange. Where they are complex matters, grant insight. Where there are different views, grant mutual respect. Where there are important decisions, grant discernment. May this meeting be conducted with order, fairness, and sincere commitment to the common good. And every action taken, oh God, let it be done in peace and prosperity and well-being of this community. We thank you for it, and we pray it's in Christ Jesus' name, and let everyone say amen.
Amen. Very good. Thank you very much. Great to see you as always.
It's good to see you, Madam.
Thank you. Bless you. All right. All right, ma'am. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And Miss Abby, if you can come up, I just want to say thank you for coming in. And these are one of our pins. Thank you very much, ma'am. All right. All right, let's not forget roll call.
Mayor Alexander.
Here.
Councilmember Kalfas.
Here.
Councilmember Ron.
Here.
Councilmember Schwang.
Here.
Councilmember Stewart.
All right, wonderful. So we have the whole team here. We're going to go right into presentations related to the first one for the 250th anniversary that I'm starting, and Councilmember Stu Stewart is going to take this one. Take it away.
All right. So for those of you who don't know, I'm a bit of a history nerd, and Temecula history is actually my favorite, but American history is my definitely second favorite. And I came across this quote from John Adams, who was the second president of the United States. And I found the quote very interesting because of lately, there's been question about the integrity of our elections. Well, ironically, 8 years after George Washington became president, there was issues with the integrity of our elections. So this is something that's not new. This is something that John Adams, in his inauguration speech, said, "Some people believe it would be unfaithful to ourselves if we should ever lose sight of the danger to our liberties, if any partial or extraneous should infect the purity of our free, fair, and virtuous and independent elections." So this is not new. And for people who get upset thinking there's no election fraud, or just the opposite, there is election fraud. This is not unusual. This has been happening for the last 250 years. So I just found it very interesting when I read that quote that even way back in 1797, they were talking about these issues. And I think it's good because it gives a sense of oversight over our election process that, honestly, we probably need. So anyways, that was the quote that I picked out from the second president of the United States.
Wonderfully done. Thank you so much. Very, very good. Something we can all learn to remember. All right, next we are going to move on to our board and commission reports. The first one is and the only one, is going to be done with the Planning Commission with Miss Lene Turley Trejo.
Hello.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello. So I am the chair, Lene, and my vice chair is Bob Hagel. And our commissioners, we have a new commissioner, David Maddox, Fernando Solis, and Mark Watson. And so we are a designated statutory planning agency. I'm telling everybody out here, or anybody who's watching, for the city of Temecula, we make reviews and recommendations on topics such as subdivisions, specific plans, zone changes, plot plans, and we also conduct required public hearings. So our last public hearing was on February 4th. And at this meeting, what we heard was an amendment to the Red Hawk specific plan to allow a wedding and special event center associated with the golf course and add related standards for those uses. And also a conditional use permit to allow a wedding event center to be operated as part of the existing golf course between the hours of noon and 9 p.m. and no more than 3 days per week. So for this item, we had 3 public speakers. There were 2 in opposition and 1 that had a question for staff. The Planning Commission voted 3-0 to continue the item to May 6th in order to give the applicant additional time to perform a follow-up noise study. So we had quite a discussion. As you can see, there are only 3 that were able to vote because 3 of us live in Red Hawk. And so we went through the legal process of picking 1 name out of those 3 to vote. And on May 6th, those same 3 commissioners will listen to this and vote on it as well. So, any questions that you all have?
Any questions to my colleagues?
Okay,
Great
thank
job.
you.
Thank you to you and the other commissioners. I appreciate all your effort and time, and look forward to the next report.
You're welcome.
Thank you, ma'am. All right. Next, we're going to go into our safety report. That's going to be done with the County of Riverside Fire Department by Chief John Crater. And, sir, I believe you have a special guest that you brought today.
I do. I'm going to do
Beautiful.
my stats, and then I'll introduce our new fire chief for Riverside County,
Glad
if you
to
don't
have him.
mind.
Wonderful.
All right. So for the month of January 2026, your firefighters ran 891 calls in the city limits. Of those calls, 15 were fires, 658 were medical emergencies, and 63 traffic collisions. This is about what we did last year during the same month. So things are not trending up or down or staying consistent. And I'm happy to answer any questions on the report if you have any. Okay, seeing none, I'd like to introduce the CAL FIRE Riverside County Fire Chief, Robert Fish. He'd like to introduce himself and just say hello and let you know who he is.
Welcome.
Thank you. Mayor, council, city staff, I very much appreciate you taking the opportunity to allow me to come and introduce myself. My name is Robert Fish. I am a 34-year-old, let's try that again.
That's great.
I wish I was 34 still. A 34-year veteran in the county and CAL FIRE service to the county. I'm a Temecula resident, and I was appointed as the Riverside County Fire Chief in December with the retirement of Chief Weiser after 44 years. I know that Chief Weiser had a very special relationship with the city of Temecula and served as the city fire chief for a period of time. Really what I'm here to do is just, 1, introduce myself, put a face to the name. Also to extend a thanks to the mayor. We had a very fruitful and I think meaningful discussion, just talking about the current state of fire services in the city and the future. The city staff, including the city manager and the ACM, have been extraordinarily kind and generous with their time. Make me feel welcomed as a new guy around the block, even though I've been here for a minute. And really, Temecula is one of the leaders in our fire department, not only in the way you staff your fire stations, but in the leadership that the city staff helps provide us as the fire department guidance in meeting the needs of the city. And the city of Temecula is extremely important to us as the county fire department. So I just want you to hear that from me and have a little connection. I'd also like to extend to the city manager, congratulations on being chosen Man of the Year. And also, if you're not aware, I hope you are, but Chief John Crater was selected by the governor as a Medal of Honor recipient for actions on the airport fire from, I think, 2 years ago, which is a pretty special and unique. Riverside County, in particular, has quite a few Medal of Honor recipients, but it is still a rare and humble thing to receive, and you're being served by a gentleman that has achieved that, and that's quite amazing. So with that, unless there's questions, I just wanted to introduce myself and say thank you, and we value you, and we look forward to being partners for a very long time.
Any questions from my colleagues?
I won't tell you which district I live in, just to keep it quiet.
Well, I just want to just say, again, fruitful meeting. Had a great opportunity to sit with you and just see your vision, and I'm excited to see how that's going to play out and just be really beneficial for the community, our city, and the rest of the area. So thank you for all your time, and again, I really hope and I'm sure my colleagues are going to meet with you, but it was a great meeting, so thank you again.
Excellent.
Thank you for your work and service, and thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Next, we're going to move into public comments for non-agendized items. Do we have any speakers?
Yes, Madam Mayor, we have 11 speakers on non-agendized items. Each speaker has up to 3 minutes, and the first speaker is Jim Dykema, I think, followed by Austin Webb.
Mayor, City Council members.
Thank you for coming.
City staff, good afternoon. I'm Jim Dykema. I live in Los Ranchitos. And I'm here to speak about the a development at the corner of Yanez and Santiago. I'd like to say, I think that a park or equestrian facility would be proper use of that area for several reasons. One, and the main one, is to add we don't need any more unnecessary traffic in that area. There's also there's not a lot of infrastructure there available for apartments or whatever you want to talk to. I just think that in our area, it's a very low-density community, and adding a large, very dense facility in that area would be detrimental to our community. There are plenty of other places in the state of California to do that in the city of Temecula. There's a lot of open area on the outskirts, and I think if that's where they want to have a very high-density living, then they should look elsewhere. But that's just my opinion, and I live in that neighborhood, and I think that the people that live in that neighborhood should have some input into what is put there. And that's all I have. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your comment, sir.
The next speaker is Austin Webb, to be followed by Adam Eventoff.
Good afternoon, Mr. Webb. Thank you for coming.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm speaking on the same subject, so I just want to read a little letter I have. My name is Austin Webb. I recently purchased a home in the said neighborhood. My wife and I chose this home very intentionally. We were drawn to the rural feel and the open space and quiet lifestyle that is still within this city. It felt different from other places, calmer, more spacious, and more connected to Temecula's country character. Buying here was a major investment and long-term decision for our future. We chose this neighborhood because it offered something unique that's becoming harder to find. The idea of placing a high-density apartment complex next to the middle of a rural setting is concerning to me as a homeowner and neighbor. It would change the environment we chose to live in and could affect both quality of life and property value. On a daily basis, I've already experienced traffic backing up in the afternoons as residents try to reach the freeway. Adding significant density to this area would increase congestion and safety concerns on roads that are not designed for that volume. I understand Temecula is growing and the housing is needed. However, growth works best when placed in areas designed to support it. Preserving that character of established neighborhoods is also an important part of thoughtful planning. I would encourage consideration of uses that better reflect the existing character of this area, such as open space, community garden, or the horse uses that support the lifestyle of many residents there. Temecula's rural and Western culture is part of what makes the city special, and I hope future planning decisions continue to protect that identity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate your time.
The next speaker is Adam Ebentoft, to be followed by Mark Landon.
Always good to see you, Adam.
Honorable Mayor, City Council, and staff, thank you for allowing me to speak. Just wanted to remind folks that this Saturday at noon at the Promenade in Temecula, we are celebrating the Lantern Festival. It starts at noon and goes for about a couple hours. It's a fantastic cultural event. I believe that former Mayor Stewart was there and has participated. And it's something not to be missed, with fantastic costumes, as well as the dragon dance and lion dance, and just a wonderful, enriching environment. So hope everybody can make it, and just want to let folks know, again, noon at the mall. Actually, I'm sorry, Jeff, I should call it the Promenade. And hope to see everybody there. Take care.
Thank you for the invite. Wonderful.
The next speaker is Mark Landon, to be followed by Eric Faulkner.
How are you, Mr. Landon? Thank you for coming.
Hi. Thank you very much, Mayor, City Council members, staff. I represent Cirque Entertainment, the operators of Paranormal Cirque. I was told a few hours ago that there were some concerns in the city, and so I wanted to address some of those concerns. Luckily, I lived close enough to get here in a few hours. So first off, I'd like to mention that we've had a contract to play at the mall since December 2nd, signed not by the mall directly, but by the mall's parent company. And so we've had that. We applied for all of our city permits. We've already been issued a city business license. We've already been issued a health permit. We've applied for the temporary use permit, building and fire. So, and those are all in the process. So we're doing all of our due diligence. And what I'd like to address is first off, saying what the circus is not, just to put everyone at that. What we have is something called the Paranormal Cirque, and there's a lot of assumptions that go along with that, and understandable assumptions that they are. But the show itself has nothing paranormal in it whatsoever. There's no magic, there's no praying, there's nothing satanic. It's, as I like to describe, best a zombie-ish kind of show, you know, with a little bit of blood, torn clothing, that kind of stuff, with just circus acts in that theme. And it's also a show that's advertised as an adults-only show, not for children. As a matter of fact, if someone wants to bring a child, the parent has to sign a release form saying that it's okay. Even though, in my opinion, there's nothing heavier than PG-13 in this show. There is no language problems because there is actually no talking in the show whatsoever. So we want to be good neighbors. We want to alleviate concerns. And I hope the city of Temecula takes, as another city in California once said to me, the city manager called me and says, I want you to know there's going to be some protests out there. And he said that our city supports the right for people to protest your show as a First Amendment right. And we also support your First Amendment right to do a show. And both things could happen concurrently. And while some people do protest the show because of the name, they think there's a lot of paranormal or something satanic going on inside, which I assure you nothing is. We understand this, and it's the nature of it. And I wanted to just make myself available in case the city had any questions now or later that I could address, to assure you that we want to be good neighbors to the people of Temecula. Already we have sold an awful lot of tickets, so the public does want us here, although some people may have said that there are concerns about us being here. I could probably promise you that more people have bought tickets than have probably complained by far. So there is a demand. We are in the public interest, and we are adult. And so we just hope you take that in mind. If there's any questions, I'll be happy to address them.
Thank you, sir. Wonderful.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Eric Faulkner, to be followed by Denise Wilson.
Good afternoon, Ms. Faulkner. Mr. Faulkner.
Hello.
Good to see you.
Mayor, good to see you. City Council.
You too, sir.
The amazing city staff, you're awesome. Chief Crater, congratulations. And City Manager, outstanding. So I'll be quick. Good afternoon, everyone. Today, as we celebrate the 250th anniversary of the United States, we reflect not only on our nation's founding, but also on the ongoing journey toward freedom, equality, and justice for all Americans. Black history is an American history. The story of America is incomplete without recognizing the contributions, struggles, and triumphs of African Americans who helped shape this nation. Frederick Douglass, a former enslaved person who became a leading voice for abolition and civil rights, advocated for universal suffrage and human dignity. One of his famous quotes was, "If there is no struggle, there is no progress." His relationship with President Abraham Lincoln led to the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation of 1863, which freed enslaved people across this country and signaled a moral commitment to liberty. This led to the long road towards civil rights as we navigated Reconstruction and Jim Crow. You see, even after emancipation, African Americans faced systemic oppression, segregation, and disenfranchisement. In steps, the Civil Rights Movement and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who advocated nonviolent protests, led historic marches and delivered the iconic "I Have a Dream" speech. His persistence and persuasive relationship with Presidents Kennedy and Johnson led to the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which outlawed discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, and national origin, highlighting bipartisan efforts to advance equality. Black History Month is American history. From Frederick Douglass to Martin Luther King Jr., African Americans have helped to shape our democracy, economy, culture, and conscience. Their struggles and achievements are woven into the very fabric of our nation. It reminds us that the promise of America, liberty and justice for all, requires vigilance, civic engagement, and a commitment to all Americans. As we celebrate 250 years of the United States, let us honor the vision of those who fought for freedom and equality. Let us continue to learn from history, teach it accurately, and ensure that every citizen's story is acknowledged. Black history is not just part of our past, it shapes our present and guides our future. This is not a finger-pointing moment. This is not a guilt trip, nor is it a demand for an apology. This is American history, recognizing the good with the bad in an effort to be better and do better, for we are all Americans. All history matters. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming in today.
The next speaker is Denise Wilson, to be followed by Isabel Verdegosa.
Well, hello, ma'am.
Hello there.
Oh, Rocky, you're red today?
Okay, perfect.
No red today, huh?
I know it. I'm representing Black History Month, so I kind of pulled out my Black History stuff.
Love it.
But thank you for saying that. So this afternoon, I am, in honor of Black History Month, I'm doing a tribute to the late and great Reverend Jesse Jackson. And if you can see on this screen, that is Jesse Jackson right next to Dr. Martin Luther King. So good afternoon, Mayor, City Council members, members of our community, and staff. This afternoon, I rise to the honor of the late and great legacy of the late Reverend Jesse Jackson, a man whose voice echoed far beyond the city limits, beyond the state limits, and even beyond our national borders. Reverend Jackson was more than a civil rights leader. He was a bridge builder, a truth teller, and a relentless advocate for justice, dignity, and opportunity for all. For decades, he stood in the gap for those whose voices were overlooked, reminding Americans of the promise that liberty and justice is for everyone. Through his leadership of the Rainbow Push Coalition, which I had the privilege of being a part of when I was in college at Southern Illinois University in Carbondale, he championed economic empowerment, voters' right, education access, and fairness in the marketplace. He ran for president not simply to seek office, but to expand participation, to ensure that more Americans felt seen, heard, and represented in the democratic process. Reverend Jackson often said, "Keep hope alive." Those were words that you can hear echo. It was more than just a slogan. They became a movement. That is because of a change in all of us, to stay engaged, to stay compassionate, and to never grow weary in pursuing what is right. Here in Temecula, we may be miles away from the national stages where he often spoke, but the principle he lived by, which are unity, service, courage, and faith, are values that will strengthen us every day in our community. As we remember the late Reverend Jesse Jackson, may we reflect on how we too can lead with conviction. May we commit ourselves to building bridges instead of barriers, and may we keep hope alive, not only in words, but in action. May this legacy continue to inspire leaders in this chamber and the young people across our valley for generations to come, because we are our foundation. And thank you so much for this meeting.
Thank you very much for coming.
You're welcome.
The next speaker is Isabel Fragoso, followed by Ashley Arms.
Hello, ma'am. Hello. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So my name's Isabel Fragoso, and I wanted to go ahead and address a few topics, specifically mental health and homelessness. But first I wanted to cite a few sources. We have mentalhealthamerica.org that says safe and stable housing is a basic need. Rocky Mountain Human Services, a website, it says a safe, stable home supports physical, mental, and social well-being. And another source is cbpp.org, says living without stable housing can drastically worsen health. I know that it's common knowledge that there's an entire field dedicated to psychology that talks about mental illness, mental health, and the detrimental effects of trauma. And just for frame of reference, if you would like to, there's Maslow's pyramid, which discusses the hierarchy of needs. So for those of you who are not familiar with my face, I'm Isabel. I am a California resident. I've been homeless for 15 months. I've had over 7 jobs within the last 2 years, and I'm not speaking just for myself. I'm also speaking in hopes that there actually will be more changes made to help people who struggle like I do. I'm bringing this to light because without an awareness, how could you know unless you are already aware? I have reached out to many governmental agencies various times to ask for help and support. I recently began working with the homeless outreach team, and they told me that they will try their best to help me with housing, but there's no guarantee. Now, please keep in mind, I have already exhausted all my measures for housing solutions individually, and I can't afford housing with the current cost of living and having endured everything that I have personally endured, although I hope in time I can. I have endured in copious amounts of pain and suffering and have strived to the best of my capacity to just be okay and just figure it out. But I am struggling, and I'm sure it shows to anyone who has bear witness. There's clearly a need in my circumstances, and I'm sure in others as well, to get support with housing. Urinating in a pot in a car, living in a car that gets really cold at night, not really good housing setup, that's not really doable. Anyways, so I think I won't get to every point, but there have been times where my rights have been violated. I have plenty of examples that I could go, and it's not to point the finger, it's just more of to bring an awareness that I am an individual who has been hurting, and I'm sure there are other people who have been homeless and hurting, and any attempts to advocate for myself, I feel, have just been kind of swept under the rug.
Thank you for your time. That was your
I
time.
appreciate your time. Thank you.
Do we have her
The
name, by
next-
the way? We have her.
Yes.
Do we have a contact number? Uh-huh. All right, ma'am, I will be reaching out to you, if that's okay with you. All right, thank you.
The next speaker is Ashley Arms, to be followed by Laurel Lamont.
Good afternoon, Miss Ashley.
Hello.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you. Not very good at this, so bear with me. I am here, my name's Ashley Arms. I am a resident of Los Ranchitos. I have been in Los Ranchitos since 1995. So I have seen a lot of changes in Temecula. Back in the day when I was a teenager, I would race the cars on Yanez on that lot right there and ride my horses. I see people riding their horses on that lot all the time. The sign Los Ranchitos literally means little ranches, so I think it's very important that we try to preserve that tradition of open space in rural living. I think high-density housing would be very detrimental, especially with the housing that is being developed right now at the back of Old Town, we have not seen how that traffic is going to affect us, and that is very close to that border of Santiago and Yanez. Let's see. Also, last time I was here, about the traffic in Los Ranchitos, how fast these cars keep going. I actually was in Anaheim lately. I just buried my grandma, and I saw speed bumps that actually would work perfectly for Yanez. They are the long ones, and there are gaps in the middle where emergency vehicles can actually go through without going over a speed bump. And for citizens to not go through the middle, because that would be breaking the law. You want to stay within the lanes. I just wanted to throw that out there real quick, but it would be very detrimental to the community, to the equine community. I think an indoor arena would be very necessary. Norco has placed an equine facility for their residents. Temecula is an equine community. We are known for our beautiful scenery, our mountains, our ground. Los Ranchitos itself is old. We were talking about the history. Temecula Rodeo used to actually be where the car dealerships are. I mean, I'm not saying put a rodeo grounds in, that would be great, but I think we should make it a point to preserve the tradition of an equine community and keep that area beautiful the way it is. More people, more emergency services, more traffic, more lights at 10 o'clock at night that I see all the time. So if we did do the speed bumps with the little gaps, it would help me sleep because you guys are very busy, as we saw earlier on the graph. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time and coming.
The next speaker is Laurel Lamont, to be followed by Michael Gregory.
Thank you for coming.
Okay, I don't have a lot of time. I don't have enough time to address my public post. So I'm going to skip right ahead to warehouse at Creekside and the rent increase. I make $52,000 a year. I work at Trader Joe's. I'm a full-time single mom. My rent's going to go up to $2,500 in June. That's 50% of my gross income. That's in affordable housing that the city gave $6 million to. There is nothing in that contract, health and safety code, that prohibited the city from implementing rent restrictions and rent increases that match the income of the residents. It wasn't implemented, but it wasn't against the law to do so. So it's time to renegotiate that. Because when we subsidize a building with $6 million and it just profits off the back of the workforce, there's a policy issue. And the city was not constructed under a free market. So let's clear that up. We have a workforce housing shortage because we built the way the city allowed for developers to build. And developers, they're not charitable, so they're not building the infrastructure out of charity. That money gets rolled into the cost of housing. We did not design for our local workforce economy. We designed for commuters. And now you got to make room. And that public post was nowhere did it say apartments or high density. You can make a cottage court with a pocket neighborhood, and you create a CLT that keeps those housing for the workforce. People who are working full-time in the community now. And I'm a proponent for not widening Inez, narrowing the streets. So you have to drive slower down those streets. Traffic is caused because we have designed for car dependency, and we can't get anywhere in this town without a vehicle. We have school backups because kids aren't getting on trolleys or buses to get to school. We don't have bike buses for kids to bike to school. It's not safe for kids to bike to school. We have solutions to these problems. There are solutions to these problems, but it starts with education. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
The next speaker is Michael Gregory, to be followed by our last speaker, Greg Langworthy.
Good afternoon, Mr. Gregory. How are you?
Good. How are you,
Good,
Madam
sir.
Mayor? Good to meet all the council members here and the ladies and gentlemen and fellow citizens. On the eve of this country's 250th anniversary, it was apropos that Mr. Stewart here, Councilmember Stewart, reminded us of that. And I can't wait till this year's 4th of July. It's going to be spectacular. It's also apropos that you mentioned in the very beginning, you said free, fair, virtuous, and independent elections. These were not only mentioned here right now, but I believe in 1799. And so that's a long-standing core belief of the American voting system. That's the reason why I'm here. I'm part of the membership of the Riverside Integrity, Election Integrity Team, and there's some talk about accuracy of our voting machines and our voting process here in Temecula, as well as throughout the rest of the country. I just want to give you some numbers on the past 4 elections, just to tell you the differences of what's happened in the counts. So in Trump's 2024 general election audit results, the total ballots cast were 925,210. The ROV machine count was 959,098. That's a difference of plus 33,888 votes. And the ROV can explain and doesn't have any proof for the error regarding that. They don't have an answer for that. In District 63, the primary election audit results of the total ballots cast were 63,709. The ROV machine count was 58,159. That's a difference of minus 5,550. Again, the ROV can account for that. In the District 63 general election audit results, total ballots cast, 63,272. Plus ROV machine count, however, was 65,282. This is plus 2,015 extra votes. Nobody can explain it. You're familiar with this one because this was the latest one. This was Proposition 50. Everybody's familiar with this because it's so recently in our minds. The total ballots cast were 611,426 votes. The ROV machine count was 657,322 votes. That's a difference of 45,896 extra votes. Again, there's no explanation for that. We're not here to condemn any organization or
And that's your
election
time,
results.
sir. Sorry.
What?
That's your time.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you very
And the
much for coming.
final-
I want to introduce Greg Langworthy now.
And the final speaker is Greg Langworthy.
Good afternoon, Mr. Langworthy.
Good to be here.
Thank you, sir.
So this is how we do the audit. That's probably the thing you want to know. Where to get all these numbers that Mike's talking about? We get them from the ROV, and these are all the ballot statements that the ROV gives us. One of the questions that might come up in your minds, how come these issues aren't brought up at the time of certification? And the reason is we don't get these numbers until after the election is already certified. So the numbers Mike is giving you, the supervisors were not aware of until after they had already certified the election. But what I'm going to tell you is the progress that we're making, and I'm going to give some congratulations first to Art Tinoco, our registrar, because we would not have this information if Art wasn't willing to give us the information, if his election workers did not do such a good job accounting for the number of ballots. I think Art is as surprised as we are by this difference. I don't think he knows why this difference is happening. He's using the equipment given to him by the state of California to count ballots. He doesn't use these ballot statements. He puts the ballots into the machine equipment that he's been given. They give them numbers. That's what he puts down. And then we compare the election worker count to the machine count, and that's where we get our numbers. So how are we addressing this? First of all, the county is aware of the problem. They gave us a special meeting February 10th to just address what we're talking about here. Also, we are going to have an actual count of the ballots to find out what is the correct count, and our sheriff is going to lead that effort, and he's simply going to count how many ballots are actually in storage. Is it what we say, according to the election workers, about 620,000, or is it what the ROV says, 660,000? The way to figure it out is count them. It's going to take a little bit of time, but that's the solution. Also, in the future, we have some suggestions. We just had a really good meeting with Supervisor Washington. He's a problem solver. We've got some suggestions. There's a dialogue. We're going to have an ad hoc meeting in March where we're going to talk about these solutions because we think we can find solutions before the June primary. So what's the goal? In the June primary, we want a reconciliation, which is exact, no difference. The number of ballots equals the number of votes. Everyone's going to be happy. Our goal is that Riverside County will become the model for election integrity for all the counties in California. And because of the quality of the people you guys included here, we think we can do that. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming in.
Madam Mayor, that concludes public comments on non-agendized items.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you for all of the speakers that came in. Next, we're going to move on to our city council reports. Would any of my colleagues on my left side like to go first?
I'll go ahead, happily go. I actually don't have a slide tonight, but I wanted to let everyone know that the Grace Melman Library, which is a county library here in Temecula, it's over on Winchester and County Center Drive, they have a bookstore. And the bookstore needed some repairs, so the county came in, they closed it down for about 3 months, and they did some significant repairs. They repaired the roof, they cleaned it, they had new shelves, really renovated the place. It's going to be opening on March 2nd. And it's an all-volunteer group over there. The books that they sell go right back in to feed the library into programs and to buy new books for distribution. So I really just want the community, especially the community on the north end of town, to know that that bookstore is going to be back open very soon. Thank you.
Thank you for that report. Mr. Kelfis, you're good?
Yes.
Let's go.
All right. So first off, I just want to address all the people. We have not suggested high-density housing in Los Ranchitos. That's not on our plate at all. So if you're here and worried about that, probably absolutely nothing to worry about. Yeah. And then second, the Lantern Festival that's going to take place at the mall. If you've never done it, it's such a cool cultural experience. The Chinese culture that you'll experience there is really, really fascinating and very colorful. So if you really want to have an enjoyable afternoon, absolutely go there and take part in the Lantern Festival. And then myself and Matt Ron did a trip to Sacramento. And the purpose of our trip was traffic congestion that takes place right at the freeway signal lights. Because right now, we control our signals in the city of Temecula, and Caltrans controls the signals right at the freeway. So all those we have no coordination with. So, and it's been a sore spot for a lot of cities, not just our city, but a lot of cities have had issues with being able to get people to the freeway and then get bottlenecked because the coordination of the signals don't match. And so we were there to promote a piece of legislation that would actually force Caltrans to the table to work with our cities so we can actually coordinate our lights with their lights. So it was a very well-received trip. I've been on many of these Sacramento trips, and most of the time I feel like I'm just beating my head against the wall. But with this one, it was a little different because we weren't asking for money. And so every politician, Democrat and Republican, were very receptive to the idea of improving the traffic flow in all of our cities without spending more money on infrastructure. And so that's what we were selling them, is efficiency over construction. And so they were all very happy and excited to be a part of this bill. So hopefully it actually is a bill that actually gets voted on and gives us the ability to actually coordinate all of our signals all the way to the freeway and onto the freeway and off of the freeway. So, and that's that. Thank you.
All righty. Thank you very much, Councilman Stu. I just wanted to mention to my right, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, Matt Ron is not here. He had to step out for a little bit of an emergency, and just leave it at that. Everything's okay, but I just want to let you know why he's not here right now. That being said, I have one slide for today. All righty. So the CCMF, which is the California City Management or Managers Foundation, did I say that right? All right. Just ended up selecting our city manager, Aaron Adams, for the year-end man of the award of the year, I guess. You can smile, sir. He's very humble. But no, I wanted to make sure that this was presented. He has done an excellent job for the city over the last, I think now 31 years, in so many different roles. And being able to watch, or well, hear about and watch a man just being able to be raised up as an intern all the way through, kind of learning everything. I think it just creates the man that we're seeing here who is doing an excellent job leading our city. So there's no doubt that an award like this is definitely due for all the hard work that he does as a leader within our community and as a leader within the city. So thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're
Appreciate
welcome. You're welcome. With that being said, that's all for what we have. So thank you, Council, for all of your information. All right, next we're going to move on to the consent calendar. Today we have 7 items, and I'll read the titles. Number 1, the waive reading of title and text of all ordinances and resolutions included in the agenda. Number 2, approve action minutes for February 10th, 2026. 3, approve list of demands. Number 4, approve city treasurer's report for the period of December 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2025. Number 5, adopt ordinance number 2026-03, amending section 10.28.010D of the Temecula Municipal Code regarding the prima facie speed limits on certain streets, second reading. Number 6, approve the Third Amendment with Santiago State University Foundation for the radio communications site lease. And number 7 is approve increase of contingency for the professional service agreement with CNS Engineers, Inc. for the Marietta Creek Bridge and Overland Drive project, PW 16-05. Would anybody like to pull an item, or if I can go right in and get a motion?
I think I would like to pull number 3 for just a quick explanation, but I will motion that we approve the whole agenda, but I do want a quick little snippet.
We'll pull 3. Okay. Anybody else? Second. Okay, let's vote. All right. And that is a 4-0, and that passes. And Mr. Stu Stewart, I believe you have something.
Yeah, Mr. City Manager, could you explain what there is one very large item on this list of demands, but it has a really good story to tell, and I just want him to tell it.
Yeah, thank you. There is a large item on the list of demands. It's a $4 million payment to CalPERS. And that represents sort of a longstanding practice and disciplined policy by this city council that extends over 4 or 5 years now, where we made a conscientious decision to pay down our obligations, our retirement obligations. And we set up a plan, we bought into the plan, we've stuck to the plan, and tonight's action that you're taking actually shaves another year off of what was originally set up as a 7-year plan to be 100% funded with all of our pension obligations. Every government agency has pension obligations, but not every agency has figured out a way to stay on top of them, let alone get to 100% funded. So the payment tonight shaves more time, and we will be 100% funded as projected next year, 2027. So Congratulations to the city council for sticking to the plan. This action alone has sets us up, future administrations, for doing good things with our taxpayer money and our dollars, and yet still meeting our obligations that we're required to for our employees. So very well done.
And that's why he was city manager of the year, by the way. I mean, things like that, so good job, thank you.
All right, thank you for pulling that.
Yeah.
All right, next we're going to recess the city council meeting to scheduled meetings of the Temecula Community Services District, the successor agency to the Temecula Redevelopment Agency, the Temecula Housing Authority, and the Temecula Public Financing Authority. And over to you, Mr. Stu.
All right, I'll call to order the Temecula Community Services District meeting. Madam Secretary, please note we're all still here. Are there any public comments? Okay. So what we have is a consent calendar, which is approved action minutes of February 10th, 2026. And number 9, approve agreement with Christian Stitchery, DBA SoCal Impressions, for screen printing, embroidering, artwork, and promotional items. And that's that. So I will take a motion.
Move to approval. Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Please vote. And that passes 4-0, as I presumed. And then I did want to say, I was just given a note right before the city council meeting that the Rod Run opened today for registration, and it closed today because it's completely full in one day. First time, is it the first time ever?
Yes, that's correct. It normally sells out within, a week or so, but today it sold out all within the same day, within a matter of hours.
Yeah, and the cruise night, which is my favorite night, it's like
Still has about 75 spots
75 spots left. So
The
if
show
you
and
want to
shine are
cruise,
sold out.
make sure you get online and get your ticket, because you can't cruise without a ticket. So, all right, so I'll push it over to you, Madam Director, and what do you got?
Just one slide this evening. Just wanted to remind everybody we are hosting special games again over at Great Oak High School. I should say Great Oak High School hosts us, which we really appreciate. They also do a great job of pairing up their student volunteers with our athletes. So every athlete gets a student volunteer who is their buddy for the duration of the event. That's going to be on Saturday, March 7th from 9 to 11 a.m. over at Great Oak High School. And if you are a student and you're looking for community service hours, there's a great opportunity. That's all for me.
All right.
Thank you.
City Manager?
Nothing further,
All
Mr.
right.
President.
Any from the directors? All right, so I will adjourn this meeting till the next one. Recess to the joint. Recess the meeting to the joint meeting.
And I will call to order the joint meeting of the City Council Community Services District consent calendar. I'll call to the joint meeting to order, and we have one consent item, and I'll read the title. Number 10, approve fiscal year 2025 to 2026 mid-year budget adjustments. Can I please get a motion?
Move to approval.
Second.
All right, can we go to vote? Wonderful, and that passes 4-0. All right, next we're going to move on. There is not a meeting for SARTA, THA, TPFA. Let me see, we're going to reconvene the city council meeting to our business item, and we have 3 business items. We're going to first start with number 11. Consider position of support for Senate Bill 974 regarding property taxation transfer for permanently disabled person at the request of Mayor Pro Tem Ron, who's not here unfortunately, but I would assume we have a staff report from Ms. Randy.
We do.
All righty.
We do, Madam Mayor. And this is really a technical housekeeping type of legislative proposal. So we feel confident in continuing despite the fact that Mayor Pro Tem Ron isn't here. Existing law actually authorizes an owner of a primary residence who is over the age of 55, severely and permanently disabled, to go ahead and transfer the taxable value of property that is eligible for either a homeowner's exemption or a disabled veteran's exemption. Existing law also authorizes the establishment of a special needs trust if a court makes specific determination. What this bill is doing in a cleanup technical measure is it is requiring the county assessor to determine that a person is eligible as a severely or permanently disabled claimant if the county assessor receives a specific letter that is certifying a special needs trust. And this bill is also requiring the state to go ahead and develop and establish a method for the claimant to go ahead and request and some parameters for issuing that specific letter certifying that specific special needs trust. So again, this is more of a technical housekeeping measure to go ahead and allow for that special needs trust to be clarified through a designated letter created and issued by the state.
All righty, well, thank you for the report. Do my colleagues have any questions on that report?
And we have no public comments on this one.
Okay.
I totally support it, so I would like to move that we,
Motion?
yeah.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Second. Anything, Brendan? You're good?
No,
Okay.
I agree.
All right, that's a first and a second. If we can get a vote. All right, and that passes 4-0. All right, let's move on to number 12, receive and file presentation on general plan update and community vision plan. And this is going to be a staff report by Matt. Where are you? There you are, sir.
Yeah, what I'd like to do is introduce Amanda Tropiano from De Novo Consulting.
Okay,
She's our general plan consultant. She'll be giving the presentation.
all right. Thank you so much for coming up. Good to see you again. Yes. Hopefully you have some good news for us.
Absolutely. Very excited tonight, this afternoon, to be here to talk about your comprehensive general plan update. A little different from the last time you saw me, where we were really discussing your housing element, your public safety element. But with that, excited to share some of the progress that has been made towards comprehensively updating your general plan and where we're headed next. So first and foremost, just to reiterate what a general plan is and why it is important that we have one that is current and contemporary to guide the future of Temecula. It is a comprehensive blueprint for the future of a city. It covers all sorts of things that affect the daily life of your community members, from public safety to how land uses are developed to how people get around your community. It is forward-looking, so we are projecting out 20 years in the future, and while we certainly can't predict every nuance that will happen over the next 2 decades, we do our best to plan strategically for those. Every city and county in California must have a general plan, but each one is unique. So here in Temecula, we're writing it just for you based on the community's local input towards their values and priorities. The first general plan for Temecula was adopted in 1993 following the city's incorporation, and it was last comprehensively updated in 2005. So you can see we're kind of at that 20-year mark, which is where we're hoping to go through this comprehensive update again. There are periodic updates to certain parts of the general plan over time to reflect changes in local conditions and also compliance with state law. Most specifically, your housing element is updated on a separate state-mandated cycle, and that's why that preceded the comprehensive update by several years. There are other city plans and programs, including your zoning code and specific plans. Those work to implement your general plan. So I like to think of it as sort of a planning pyramid. At the very top of the pyramid is your general plan, and that sets the stage for these other plans and programs that implement those policies. The work to actually comprehensively update the general plan started several years ago. The first phase was to think about the housing element and planning for future growth and development to accommodate your regional share of housing growth. The city also initiated efforts to study other local issues and priorities, including new state laws on how we study mobility, circulation, and traffic, specifically related to vehicles miles traveled. And then we also created a customized and focused update to your public safety element to reflect requirements in state law specific to fire hazards and climate sustainability. Following that effort, the city initiated an effort to prepare its quality of life master plan. And this is something I know the council is very familiar with, but it really serves as the foundation for this general plan update. It also worked to create a baseline of analysis that's going to play a role in the Climate Action Plan, or your CAP, and then also completed documents furthering the study of complete streets and mobility. The city initiated a request for proposals to solicit interested firms to assist the city with completing its comprehensive general plan update. It also undertook several other economic and land use studies to really have a good baseline understanding of what that update could include. On behalf of De Novo Planning Group, we're extremely excited to continue our work with the city of Temecula as part of this project. That brings us to, after all of the fruits of that labor, updating your general plan and then ultimately preparing an environmental impact report that analyzes those impacts. So I wanted to dive a little deeper into the last box on that overall timeline. So this work really kicked off in earnest in June of 2025, and we spent the fall of 2025 hosting a series of in-person visioning open houses throughout the community. Moving forward, we've been working to understand existing conditions, and anticipating the next process is focused on our land use alternatives report, where we're going to be studying different ways that maybe strategic areas of the community may accommodate new growth and development over those 20 years. And we'll be connecting with the community as part of that effort through additional open houses, pop-up events, and workshops. We'll also be bringing forward information related to the Climate Action Plan and the environmental review towards the end of 2026, and then moving into 2027, completing that technical analysis, again, connecting with the community throughout, and then looking to bring forward the project for adoption in the summer of 2027. I wanted to spend a moment really emphasizing the opportunities for public engagement and feedback through this work, which again is really the most critical piece of information we can collect to customize that general plan. There is a project website that is available as the first point of contact for your community to see any information regarding public meetings, events, or opportunities to provide comments. That is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I just checked before this meeting, we've had 6,000 views, 4,500 of those are unique views, so we're getting wonderful traffic, and a lot of your community members are finding the availability of that website as a great location to go and get that information. We've also had over 500 individuals sign up for the listserv, so they're getting notified of any upcoming opportunities for feedback. There is a citywide mailer that was sent to every physical address in the community, just short of 50,000 of them, letting everyone know that this project was underway, how they can get involved, and what they can expect over the coming 2 years. We had an opportunity to connect with the council as part of your housing workshop to connect the dots of how the general plan influences the city's approach to planning for housing in the future. And we've been working with your General Plan Advisory Committee, which is an 18-member committee appointed by the City Council to dive deeper into some of the topics addressed in the general plan. We've had 4 meetings with them, 2 in late 2025. Those focused on setting out a vision and values discussion and thinking about mobility, and then 2 meetings in 2026 where we've talked about economics and land use planning. The city's also facilitated stakeholder interviews with key stakeholders in the community to dive deeper into special topic areas, as well as a citywide vision and values survey, and we've received almost 1,000 responses from that. So I'm going to summarize generally what we've heard, but to dive further into that information, I'd encourage you to review attachment 1 to the staff report, which is a summary of the outreach conducted in the fall of last year. But what we've heard, frankly, is that people love Temecula. So that's wonderful to hear, and I know that reinforces the work the city has been doing on other surveys, plans, and programs, especially in your quality of life master plan work. They especially value the small town friendly atmosphere and the charm that you have, especially in your unique areas like Old Town, your equestrian communities, and your hillsides. Public safety showed up as a #1 priority issue, appreciation for the city's commitment to that, cleanliness, and your open spaces, and a recognition of balancing future growth with the preservation of your unique character. So how communities change over time, understanding that they do, but how do you do that in a way that maintains that Temecula way of life? an interest in expanding housing choices, creating opportunities for housing affordability and attainability, but recognizing that growth is going to slow down compared to the last 20 years, the next 20 years, as open space becomes more limited and development occurs in different formats, the pace of that development is going to look a little bit different. Certainly, we've heard concerns about traffic congestion and speeding, especially on Inez. We've been having a number of public comments and speakers at our GPAC meetings voicing their concerns over issues in that community. So using that information, what the typical process for a general plan update would do is think about all of that community input that we've heard and synthesize it into a community vision plan or vision statement that serves as part of the introduction chapter of your general plan. And this really, the intent of this typically is to serve as the cornerstone for decision-making on including goals, policies, and programs in that general plan document. So we think about a vision plan as being an image of the future that you want to create. It should be idealistic and aspirational, but also realistic and attainable. And typically that vision statement is supported by guiding principles or goals that serve as that basic consideration of inclusion of those goals and policies as you develop that policy document. So we've done that. We've drafted a vision plan. It's included as attachment 2. It includes an approximately one-page vision statement supported by 5 key guiding principles. And those principles really focus on serving as a steward of livability, a steward of place and identity, a steward of opportunity, of mobility, and of economic vitality. Working with staff, we presented a draft of the vision plan to the City Council General Plan Subcommittee, both to Mayor Pro Tem Ron and to Councilmember Kalfas. And we were able to discuss the components of that draft vision plan and understand some key areas of growth or strength that we could further emphasize through the drafting process. In particular, we received some feedback to really emphasize the role of public safety as a key milestone, of a cornerstone of the community decision-making process, further discuss or expand upon the issues related to healthy communities, including a reference to building and maintaining excellence, and most importantly for this afternoon's discussion, a request to really evaluate and further align how this general plan vision statement aligns with your quality of life master plan and its vision statement. So following that meeting, we really had an opportunity to take a minute and think carefully about that feedback and really understand what would be best for the city of Temecula moving forward to align these various plans and programs and really serve, create some consistent policy direction for you moving forward as part of that general plan work. So the first thing that we recognized in thinking about this feedback is that all of the public input we've collected as part of the general plan work is consistent with the input collected as part of the quality of life master plan process and the values established therein. And those values, if I enumerate them 1 through 7, are going to sound pretty similar to the 5 I just listed as part of that draft vision plan. So creating a safe and prepared community, transportation, mobility, and connectivity, healthy and livable city, economic prosperity, a sustainable and resilient city, accountable and responsive city government, and equity. So we started to see a lot of similarities and overlap between these topic areas. And really thinking about the quality of life master plan vision statement, it's succinct memorialization of what you had heard and where the city is going. So with a deep understanding of our history, the city of Temecula is a community and culture on the move. We are dedicated to family, neighborhoods, economic prosperity, education, health, and safety. Focused on doing it right the first time, we continue to pursue the highest quality of life for all, something we call the Temecula way. So one of the things I want to say that we are aware of and cognizant of when going through a general plan update process is that sometimes we have to take a minute and rethink our approach and make sure that we're nimble and responsive to unique circumstances as we go through that effort. And so in thinking about this and thinking about the input collected through the general plan and its consistency with the direction of the quality of life master plan and the synergy of those 2 items, really it's an opportunity to think of the quality of life master plan vision statement as also the vision statement for the general plan. And so therefore, although there is a draft vision plan attached for your review this afternoon, staff recommends that the quality of life master plan vision statement be used for the general plan, and that's going to allow further alignment and synergy of those long-term plans and programs in creating a more consistent policy direction. So within that framework, we really see the actual general plan document, the nuts and bolts of the pages of words that set out your goals, policies, and actions being organized into those 7 values outlined in the Quality of Life Master Plan. So thinking about how the topic of mobility as a general plan element or chapter of your general plan fits within those values, thinking about how we address topics related to environmental justice, land use, and economic development really fit nicely into that framework. And it creates, again, that further emphasis and consistency between those documents. So looking forward, the next phase of work of this effort is really focused on developing land use alternatives in strategic areas of the city that might accommodate future growth over the next 20 years. And we'll be going through a qualitative and quantitative evaluation process, both with your general plan advisory committee and with the public at large, to really understand what those land use planning options are and the pros and cons associated with them. It will generally take the form of a physical report. We'll be engaging with the community over numerous weeks to collect input both online and in person. And we'll be also hosting study sessions to discuss those alternatives, especially with the City Council. So you'll see me back here in the spring regarding that topic. Our goal is to arrive at a preferred land use map, again, not one that's adopted right now, but one that we are allowed to study as part of that general plan and environmental review process, so that we can come back to you in the summer of next year and be able to present kind of the full spectrum of the impacts of that project and allow you to consider both the policy plan and the environmental impact report as part of that work. So with that, that concludes my presentation. What we're hoping to get from you this afternoon is really your feedback on staff's recommended approach, understanding the draft vision statement presented to you, the process that we went through with the general plan subcommittee, the work on the quality of life master plan and how we see those two aligning, and especially the role of that quality of life master plan vision statement serving in that same role in the general plan.
All right, thank you very much for that report. And any comments before we put it out to the public for any comments from us, from council? You did that great of a job. Any public comments? Okay, I do have one question, not yet. Just one quick question. One of the things, I think you said steward of place and identity.
Yes.
Can you go a little bit more into explanation of what that one is?
Sure. So in preparing the vision statement, we had really found the recognition of people's, location of their communities, of the distinct neighborhoods of Temecula, that there are different places that play different roles. So from your more equestrian or rural communities to your more suburban communities, your golf course communities. Also the visual topography. So sitting in a nestled valley, being able to see the rolling hills, the role of your topography and water features, and kind of all of those different features really connect with the way people imagine themselves as residents of the community. So they identify both as residents of their neighborhood, but as residents of Temecula, and that place and identity is really part of their understanding of why they choose to be here, why they choose to raise a family here.
Wonderful. All right, well, thank you for that. Anything else? All right, thank you very much. I'm just going to have one comment just to let everybody know as this is moving forward too. I don't think I've talked too much about, if at all, about the roundtables that I'm going to be doing here over the next year. So this is going to actually feed into the general plan. So I have approximately seven, right? We picked 7 roundtables that I'm going to be doing. Everything from bringing in businesses, youth, churches and faith-based organizations, veteran families, nonprofits, just to be able to get more input from maybe stakeholders who are not always at the table. And so we are going to connect with these different areas, organizations, selection of people to be able to get, again, new ideas to be able to put right into the general plan to be able to help guide and support our city in ways that everybody is looking to see us move forward. So thank you again very much for all your help. All right. That was it for that one. Okay. So that one was a receive and file, so we don't need to do anything with that, right? Okay, wonderful. Number 13, let's take a look at adopting a resolution to conduct proactive fire prevention and hazardous fuel reduction on sites identified by CAL FIRE, Riverside County Fire Department, consistent with the state proclamations. And this is our last one for our business. If we can get a staff report, Mr. Matt, please.
Good afternoon, Mayor and council members. As you mentioned, this is a proposed resolution to conduct proactive fire prevention and fuel reduction consistent with governor's executive orders and emergency proclamations. So a few background slides to explain how and why this is being proposed. So last year, the City Council allocated funds for this effort in the Capital Improvement Program, or the CIP. And the purpose of that was twofold. The first reason was to identify and mitigate high-risk fire areas throughout the city. And the second was to develop a citywide Community Wildfire Protection Plan, or a CWPP. On March 24th of 2025, the State Fire Marshal published updated fire hazard severity zone maps. And the City Council adopted those maps shortly thereafter. And you can see on the screen here, the heavy black line is the outline of the city. And basically we are surrounded on, all four sides by moderate, high, and very high severity zones. The moderate being shown in yellow, the high fire severity zones shown in orange, and then the very high in red. We're surrounded, but you can also see on the east, west, and south sides, we do have very high severity zones within the city, and then in the northeast in Meadowview and the Nicholas Valley, we have high fire severity zones. In addition, we worked with CAL FIRE and identified a table here that shows incidents near the city of Temecula over the past 3 years. So you can see the Madera Fire, the Vale Fire, and so on. You can see the start dates and the acres. And I'm pleased to report that all of these incidents were contained before escalating into more serious events. In contrast, there was the Palisades and the Eaton fires in January of 2025. Those fires burned 38,000 acres and destroyed more than 16,000 structures. And some contributing factors were high winds and I'd say very high winds and dry vegetation. In response, the governor declared an emergency proclamation, and that proclamation suspends certain regulations, including CEQA, or the California Environmental Quality Act. It also expedites critical fuel reduction projects. In addition, there were a couple of executive orders, and both of those orders reiterate, extend, and expand opportunities to accelerate hazardous fuel reduction efforts. So back to the high fire severity zone map and peak wildfire season. The peak wildfire season usually starts in April, May, and runs through October in Southern California. And the city is preparing to undertake proactive hazard reduction work to reduce vegetation and high fuel loads adjacent to public facilities on city-owned properties. So if you take a look at the map, you'll see the city of Temecula owned parcels in purple, and those are some of the parcels that would be targeted for fuel reduction. An example project of fuel reduction would be at the Ronald Reagan Sports Park. So the sports park is centrally located in the city. It's south of Rancho Vista Road, it's north of Paba, it is west of Margarita Road. And some of the facilities located adjacent to that park include the Ronald H. Roberts Public Library, which is also the backup Emergency Operations Center, or the EOC, Fire Station 84, and then the Community Recreation Center, the CRC, and several park facilities. And if you take a look at where the library and the fire station are, and just below that you see all the vegetation, that's on a slope, and the potential for fire to impact those facilities is quite high, so there's a need to buffer some of those facilities. And the primary objective would be to remove hazardous vegetation and create fuel breaks. That would provide gaps in vegetation, to provide defensible space for structures, would allow firefighters to safely reach, monitor, and suppress fires, and it would have a secondary purpose of providing trail access within the park for recreation, but then also allowing maintenance over time of those fuel breaks. And with regard to Ronald Reagan Sports Park, there is a history of volunteerism in that park. The creation, the identification of that land, and then also the building of the CRC was done through major volunteer efforts. In fact, in 1983, Ronald Reagan praised Temecula and their volunteer can-do spirit of the community, and this would be a continuation of that. So with that, the recommendation is for the City Council to adopt a resolution to conduct proactive fire prevention and hazardous fuel reduction on sites identified by the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, Riverside County Fire Department, consistent with multiple governor's executive orders and emergency proclamations. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you very much, sir. All right, we had our staff report. Any questions from council? No? This is an easy meeting tonight. Any public comments?
We do have one public comment on this item. It is a business item, so the speaker has 5 minutes. The one and only speaker is Terry Biancardi.
And it was Terry?
That's right.
All right, welcome. Thank you for coming.
Good afternoon, everyone. Councilors, mayor, staff, and council. My name is Terry Biancardi, and I'm here to express support for the trail system project that Matt was just talking about. The city has these occasional pockets of nature, and to the extent that we can restore degraded areas and open them thoughtfully to recreation is something that, in my opinion, we should be doing wherever possible. Numerous studies have shown that proximity to natural areas improves mental health in the resident population by significant measures. Also, this project incorporates wildfire resilience, which we all know is of critical importance today. I serve on the Regional Forest and Fire Capacity Advisory Committee for Riverside County. This community wildfire resilience project is exactly the sort of project that we are looking to populate our regional priority plan for funding. I have a lot of experience with both restoring natural areas as well as heading up volunteer labor groups. And I can confidently say that these sorts of projects are win-wins. Being out in nature is always good. Working together as a community on a common goal builds the kind of connections that we humans need so badly now. Connections to each other, to our city, to the natural world. I do hope the council will give this project its full support.
All righty, thank you for your time, ma'am, and your comment.
Madam Mayor, I
Yes.
do have one additional card, and it may be related to this item or a non-agenda, but the description is Trail at Ronald Reagan. So Casey, would you like to go ahead and provide your comment now if it's related to this item? Okay. Great.
Casey, thank you for coming in, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I appreciate the opportunity. Honorable Mayor, members of council, thank you for the opportunity to come and speak in support of this proposed trail initiative today. With respect to everyone's personal time, I apologize being at the end of the meeting here. I was taught years ago, when you get on stage, be bold, be brief, be brilliant, and then be gone. Thank you, Dad. So anyway, here we go. I could speak on behalf of the fire department as a retired firefighter paramedic, but I'm choosing tonight to speak on behalf of the mountain biking community with respect to the trail initiative. I'm also a mountain biking coach. I'm a resident of Temecula for 20 years, and I'm an avid outdoor enthusiast. Apologize, go down some bullet points here, which I know everybody hates that, but I don't want to get off track and take too long. So anyway, mountain bike trails in this community would provide opportunities for outdoor recreation, safe areas to ride mountain bikes away from cars, which is huge for those of us on bikes. It also provides healthy alternatives to video games and electronics, which I know as parents we're all battling that challenge with our children. It also applies or creates real face-to-face social interaction in a time dominated by social media, which the previous speaker addressed. It's also a reconnection with nature, which she mentioned as well, which I think all of us can appreciate that, the healthy benefits of that. It's also increased mental health and confidence without Western medications by way of naturally recruiting endorphins, dopamine, and other healthy hormones that help generate and regulate positive mental health and reduce stress, which I think all of us would agree we could use at times right now. It also increases physical health with improvements in strength, flexibility, and cardiovascular development by riding on these trails. The mountain biking youth of this community are often overlooked. With so much commitment given to sports parks for baseball, football, and other stick and ball sports in America, while we greatly appreciate the dedication to the paved trail system throughout this community, which has helped tremendously with safety, moving about town, and getting exercise, the dedication to a true dirt trail system definitely has room to grow in comparison to other communities. Did you know, Council, that every high school in both Temecula and Murrieta have a competitive mountain bike team? You may not be aware of this, but you currently have the fastest mountain bike student athletes in all of Southern California residing right here in Temecula Valley. I can't think of any better way to support these high school youth and their amazing efforts over the last 20 years of training and racing with these growing teams than to support this initiative and vote in favor of this trail and finally give them a safe and legal trail system to use for riding and for training purposes. Everyone can't make the baseball team, but as a mountain bike coach, I can tell you firsthand that we have turned kids' lives around with these teams and being outdoors on trails. With the obvious benefits for the local fire department, the increase in recreation opportunity for all of the citizens of Temecula, and the benefits to local youth mountain bike teams, and so much more, the real question isn't, should you vote in favor of this trail initiative? It's why wouldn't you? I'm confident you will choose to improve the intrinsic value of Temecula by voting in favor of this trail initiative. Thank you very much for all your time.
All righty, thank you very much for your comments. All right, at this point, can I get a motion from my colleagues?
Move approval. Second.
All right, let's move and approve. And wonderful, that is another 4-0. All right, thank you again to all the public comments. All right, next departmental reports is just going to be receive and file only. Madam, do we have any more public comments? Okay, that's it. However, we did forget a reel, so I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Stu, and he's going to take it from here.
So last week we opened Nicholas Road, and for those of you who don't live over in that area, Nicholas Road was really one of our last dirt roads in Temecula. And so it literally, it's paved all the way to a certain point, and then it went down into a ravine and went dirt all the way till Butterfield. And so as a condition of Summers Bend being built, we told the developers they had to finish out Nicholas Road and solve the flooding issue that takes place there every single rainstorm. So those people would get stranded who lived between Caligurasol and Summers Bend. And so we had the ribbon cutting, and we did a short little reel, which, by the way, is up to like 171,000 views. So play the reel. By the way, did I tell you Nicholas Road is open? So here I am taking the maiden voyage down Nicholas Road. Now this has been about a year in construction, and it was conditioned by the city for Summers Bend to finish out Nicholas Road and also solve the issue with the flooding that takes place at Caligurasol. And also, we've got a 2-lane bike lane here that will actually complete this section of our trail system that connects the Summers Bend and then out into the wine country. This is a great asset to the city of Temecula. Get out here and enjoy it. So yeah, it's an awesome trail. If you haven't done it, it's a off street, as you saw. And it's just beautiful out there too. I mean, it's a very rural ride. So if you're a biker, get out there and enjoy it. That's it.
Awesome. Well, thank you for the reminder on that one. All right, since that should be it for public comments, Stu had his reel, we got that in. Future items for city council agendas for the future. Anything, gentlemen? Wow, this is quick tonight. Sir Manager, any reports?
Nothing further.
All right, Mr. Attorney?
Yes, Madam Mayor and members of the council, we did have a closed session tonight, and we have no items to report under the Brown Act for that.
Okay, with that, I'd like to adjourn this meeting till Tuesday, March 10th at 3 p.m. Thank you very much.